So I recently got into Game Boy development, which then got me into modding Game Boys. And here's my childhood Game Boy, which I did want to mod, but I didn't want to mod. So instead of modding my childhood Game Boy, I actually got another one off eBay. It was about $82, which isn't too bad. And we're actually going to take this apart and clean it and use it in our mod today. We've got a lot to do, so let's get started. To get started, there are 6 screws that we need to take out to take apart our Game Boy. There is a special bit that you need, which is a tri-wing, but don't worry if you don't have one. With the case and the screen that you buy, they actually give you the screwdrivers that you need, which I thought was very nice of them, so you can easily take it apart. Take out the screws and pull it apart, and then inside there are 3 new screws that we have to take out. These are a different bit. This is more like a Phillips, which again I have, but if you don't worry, it will give you the screwdrivers that you need. Take out the 3 screws, and then at the top we can lift up this little tab on each side to actually pull out this ribbon cable. And Game Boy modding is actually pretty easy. I watched a few videos. I took my Game Boy Color apart and cleaned it, but this is my second attempt at modding something, and it went really well. This board isn't actually too dirty, so we kind of lucked out there. We are going to take out these membranes. The new case does come with membranes, but I don't know if they're better or worse than the original, so I did keep the original, and we're just going to clean them up. So here we have some isopropyl alcohol. We're just going to kind of go over all of where the buttons go and kind of just wipe the board down to make sure it's nice and clean. The board's not too dirty, which I got really lucky with. Sometimes they could be. And then of course the speaker is pretty dirty because there's holes by the speaker. So those are always going to be filthy, but the board itself was pretty clean. And then we're just going to clean our select and start to make sure that everything touches nicely. We'll flip the board over, and there was some like blue mark on here, which I wasn't really sure why because the board was pretty clean. But I did notice later that the right terminals for the batteries actually had some corrosion. Not the left ones though, which is all that really matters because that's actually on the board. But that corrosion leaked through to the board, so we kind of cleaned that up and it's good to go. Of course, we cleaned up the power button and then dusted off the cartridge slot just to make sure it's kind of clean inside. But so far, not too bad. It was pretty clean. The buttons, however, the membranes are probably going to be the dirtiest because it is a loved game, and those were a little dirty, so we obviously have to clean those up, especially since we're reusing them. We don't want any dirt showing through our case, but pretty easy to clean. Select and start were, I think, the filthiest, but very easy to clean up nonetheless. And then here we go. We now have the beautiful shell. I will put a link to where I got this inspiration from at the end. I don't want to spoil it, but this shell just looks so good, and I can't wait for you to see the final product, which we're about to get there. So there's the shell that you got. I did get different battery buttons, not batteries, buttons from Extreme Rate, and they are nice gold. I wish they came separated already, but you have to pull them apart. And then of course the gorgeous screen from High Speedito, which I got from AliExpress. It was about $55 for the screen and $10 for the shell. Screen and the shell came together, and then $10 for the button. So not too bad, about a $65 mod if you don't have to buy the Game Boy. So all you have to do for here is you just push that little ribbon through the little hole, and then you just flip it over and kind of push these together. Kind of hard to do on camera, but off camera is pretty easy. And then you do need to solder one wire right here to where it says BAT. It's right there on the bottom left, not too difficult. And then, yeah, we can go ahead. Now, this is the trickiest part. They want you to kind of test it beforehand, but it's hard to do because I don't know where to put it, and then you don't have the batteries and all that. So I kind of just gave up on trying to test it outside of the shell and just put everything together and hope for the best. But it does say that you can't get a refund if you don't pre-test it, I think. So luckily it wasn't broken, but it's very hard to do it without putting it in the shell, so I don't know what they expect from us. But here, that's all you got to do is kind of just push it in, and then it does give you this little plastic piece to put over the back part. That way your motherboard, your board doesn't touch those components. And then, of course, just put the ribbon cable back in, just like you took it out, push everything in, and then clamp those buttons, those clips down so it holds the ribbon cable in place. There we go. And then we do need to solder right here on the C. This was a little tricky. I did it pretty quick, but it actually came loose, so I had to do it off camera. But essentially just solder to the C section on the board you'll see it, and that's pretty much it. And then I almost forgot the buttons, so I do need to put the buttons in. And then, of course, once the buttons are in, we're going to have to put in the membranes. But this mod isn't too difficult. I would definitely recommend it. It looks amazing, which we'll see in a moment, but it wasn't too tricky. I don't really do much soldering, but I like it, and it was pretty easy. Maybe I should have used a little bit more solder, but other than that, put the membranes back in, push everything back in place. I feel like if I wasn't trying to do it on camera, it would have been even easier, but I did forget the buttons and stuff, but I had to take it apart and put them back in. But yeah, put the 3 screws back in, and that's pretty much done. All we have to do is put the power button in. It only can go in one way, and then we put the shell back together, which, oh my god, it just looks so good. I can't wait for you to see it. I really like whoever designed this on Reddit, and I definitely stole your design because it just looks gorgeous. And then we just need to put our 6 screws back into the case, just like we kind of took them out. It does give you the screws as well, so again, these not bad for $55. It gives you everything you need to actually put this together. And then I did buy the different buttons because it looks much better. But other than that, pretty straightforward. So I definitely recommend this mod. It's an easy mod to do, and it's definitely well worth it. We have our batteries that we're going to put in. I don't have rechargeable batteries yet. And then we'll put our back case on, which just looks so good. And then, of course, we can't forget the sticker. I did end up messing up the sticker because it's slightly misaligned on the top right, which I'm sad about, but you can't really tell in the video, but it is. And here it is. Oh my goodness. We just need to peel off the protective spot, and just look at that. That just looks so good. I'll put the Reddit post online that I saw it because I definitely want to give them credit, but oh my goodness, does this just look good. I love those buttons inside of it. And then I did do the select and start instead of the ones that are common, because I think you have to cut your buttons, which I wasn't going to do. So there are some settings on here where you can change a lot of stuff, but also you can change the Gameboy Color. So I switched it to yellow to match the buttons. And oh my gosh, it just looks so good. Definitely worth it. Look at the difference, and I'll show you a game of what it looks like. And oh my god, it literally just night and day. You always forget how bad the Game Boy screen is, because as a kid, like, you loved it. But then as you're an adult, you're like, wow, how did I ever play this? I can't even see it. And this is what a game looks like in a, I mean, pretty well lit room. I even have a special light just to make it more lit, and yeah, you can barely even see this game, especially at different angles. It's crazy how we used to play on these things. Of course, we also, I grew up, I had the little light that you plug into the side, but wait till you see how good it looks on this Game Boy Color. But like I said, all in, the screen and the shell were about $55 on AliExpress. I'll put links to everything in the description. The buttons are on sale from Extreme Rate for $10, and just look how bright that is. How good that red looks. I would even say it's a little too bright, but it just looks so good. And look at that shiny gold, and oh my goodness, it's night and day. I can't wait to start playing more games. I've been using this for a couple of days now, but I can't wait to, all the games just look so good on it. So, and I can't wait to actually start making games, which is why I wanted to mod this Game Boy. I do have a new series that I'll be working on where I actually take you through step by step how to make games with the Game Boy, how to put them on your on your game, to actually put them on a cartridge, and you can actually play them, which I do right here. I play the game that I did in my live stream. Not great, but I was just dabbling with GB Studio, and this is on a real Game Boy, and it just looks so good. So definitely, if you're into Game Boy development, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Check out the links in the description if you want to do this mod yourself. I highly recommend it. Not too expensive and definitely worth it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the thanks button below the video, and I'll see you in the next one.